some email, Pat, speaking of
Right,
content. Here's someone who's writing, this is K.I., I guess, Kai. Is it wrong for me, a youth Bible teacher, to be my ex-husband's roommate in my house? He's still married to another woman. However, they are separated and we do everything together. I still love him and I don't think there's anything wrong since we have the same last name and many people don't know we are divorced. This is a believer writing this.
That is one screwed up mess.
A youth Bible teacher.
I really don't think that's the way it is. If your husband, former husband, isn't happy with this life he's living, the time has come for him to leave that, and if he's supposed to get married to you, but boy, living in the same house, you know, the Bible, the King James said you should avoid every form of evil. It says every appearance, but it's actually every form. But you are asking for trouble. That is just ridiculous, and you shouldn't do that. I mean, if you want to get together and get wise counsel and say, all right, was this second marriage, was this appropriate, and could it be separated biblically, and then should we get married again? You don't want to get married again, but you live in the same house, you go out together, you're doing everything married couples do, except apparently cohabit with sex.
Well, we don't know if they're doing that or not.
We don't know that. She doesn't say it, but it's, hey, okay, you're doing it wrong, all right? What's next?
This is Lesia, who says, Dear Pat, it says in the Bible that we are to love the Lord our God with all our hearts and minds. It also says that he is a loving and merciful God. So why are we supposed to fear him, and how do we fear him if we're to do the above? What does this mean?
Well, to fear the Lord is to respect and honor him, and to recognize that he is a great God and that he is a powerful, powerful individual who doesn't put up with some of our foolishness. And I think the idea of loving him draws us to him. We love him, but at the same time, it's like a father, a little child, loves his daddy, but at the same time, if daddy says, Charlie, come here, little Charlie had better come here, or daddy's going to whack him, and he understands that. So that's the kind of fear. It is reverence and respect that we're talking about, not being afraid of him. That's not what that fear means. Okay.
Okay, this is Wanda, who says, the other day while mentioning the movie Left Behind, Pat said it's not biblical. Please explain further.
The whole concept of this pre-tribulation rapture was introduced to the church about 1832, I believe it was, in a so-called Irving 8 meeting, where a little girl, a 17 or 18-year-old girl, stood up and began to give a message in tongues and interpret. It was a Pentecostal meeting. And she began to talk about this thing, and there was a fellow named John Nelson Darby who was there who thought that was just cool, and so he wrote it all down. His disciple was a fellow named C.I. Schofield, who was an editor of the Bible, and he put all these notes in like it was a scripture. And so we've got that, but there's nothing in the Bible that indicates there's going to be a time when all of a sudden people drive flying airplanes. They're going to fly off the ceiling of the airplane, leave their uniforms behind. Or there's somebody running a train's going to go up the roof, and the train's going to run off the tracks. I mean, it's just chaos, and it's not biblical. So, Left Behind, science fiction, a lot of fun, a lot of action. Probably an interesting movie with...
over the years, there are a lot of people who teach this and believe this, but
absolutely.
Prior to the time you're talking about, the 1830s, it was never taught.
It was not in the church before then. Mm-hmm. But the patristic fathers and the ones who write never knew this. This was not something that's in the ancient literature. And but it has become very popular, as I say, most even fundamental churches, most Assembly of God churches. But people are beginning to realize that it's not correct. It isn't correct biblical doctrine. Read the 24th chapter of Matthew, and you see immediately after the tribulation of those days, then's going to appear this, that, and the other. And you see the sign of the Son of Man immediately after the tribulation, not before. So I haven't got time to go into all that. So I just think it's wrong. But as I say, sci-fi, you've got Nicolas Cage, he's a good actor, you've got other actors, and it's good writing, and it's going to be a fun movie, probably. Okay.
Well, that's all the time we have for questions today, but we do thank you for submitting them, and we'll get to some again next week.